like a little bit of like safety and security that I have within myself now, which is saying a lot. I've never felt safe is there. It's small, but it is there, and that's something I've never had before. And I truly do believe it is a result of like working with myself and you know, if you're like stuck to my story, it's painful, but a little bit of like safety and security that I have with myself now, which is saying a lot. I've never felt safe is there. It's small, but it is there, and you know, that's something I've never had before. And I truly do believe it is a result of like working with myself you know, if you're like stuck to my story, it's painful, but you can see a solution for it for yourself, and you gotta use it for yourself. So that's all I got to do.
Got a home alcoholic addict. I got a sobriety date of 2/19/2022, 45 days sober, probably the newest one, the youngest one here. So I was born to a family of drug abuse and alcohol. Me and my twin sister were put up for adoption at the age of 7 when both my parents went to prison. My dad got out of prison, overdosed on heroin, had a seizure, he was gone. My mom went back in for a second term, put us up through adoption through my tribe. Really, I was blessed with a really good Christian home. Couldn't have asked for anything better. If I wasn't at school, I was at church singing in the choir with my mom. She was a choir teacher. So my dad was a deacon. You know, my whole life I was diagnosed at 8 years old with ADHD, bipolar, depression. At that time, at this age, like 95, that's like when they were just first learning about ADHD. So they're putting all sorts of medications on us, you know. Teachers made me seem like a behavior problem. So the kids saw me as a behavior problem. So instead of me just being different, you know what I mean, I was picked on a lot, a little bit more outgoing than everybody else. I was really loud. So that just kind of happened through all the way through high school. I always felt really down about myself. I was never the guy to throw a touchdown pass. I was never the guy to get the cute girl. I was always the guy to get beat up at football practice. When I was 18, I moved out of my mom's house. Came out to California because me and my buddy were going to be rock stars. I was 19 years old, hadn't even smoked a cigarette. I remember one time I decided we were going to start cussing. We picked out some girls and it was so awkward and freaked them out. All we were saying were cuss words. We weren't even talking. I came back home after about 2 years of being out in Cali, just a homeless life. I still hadn't even used any drugs. And I was like leader in my youth group, and you know, that was a really good time for me. My twin sister, I moved in with her, and one of her friends were in their room. They were smoking on a pipe, smoking methamphetamine, and I had just went to the hookah bar like the night before. I didn't even know what that was before at the time, you know. And so I go in there, they're blowing clouds. I think they're just smoking hookah, so I'm like begging my sister to let me hit it. She said, "You don't want to hit that." Well, finally, the girl she's with, she's like, "Yeah, just let him hit it." Blah, blah, blah. She's like, "Fine." You know what I mean? So I wound up hitting it, and I'm like, "Man, that tastes like crap. What is that?" You know what I mean? I had some apple shit. My sister's like, "You never smoked no apple meth." I'm like, "Meth?" She's like, "What did you think you were smoking?" You know, just kind of like you. I loved it. I was hooked. Things with the Ritalin and all that, you know, the controlled substance was, you know, the way my mind ticks is, if I smoke meth, everything quiets down. I'm just calm for once. I don't have to trip on stuff. So I was hooked from there on out. Wound up committing felonies to support my drug use. I caught my first charge of embezzlement and grand larceny. Went to prison because I couldn't follow the rules and do probation. Prison, I thought I had something to prove. You know, it was kind of like to me, it was like a bigger version of high school. I mean, I was a kid that didn't fit in again, and fucking, if anybody said anything that hurt my pride or called me out, fucking, I was getting in my ass beat all the time. I was getting in trouble. My drug addiction was so strong that after I had a 4-year, 10-month sentence, I wound up doing 100% of that time. Couldn't stay out of trouble. 2 months in the house. I caught 5 more years because I was bringing in drugs from working out on the side of the road. I get out of prison. 3 months later, after I get out of prison, my dad dies unexpectedly of cancer. So I run away and go out to Wichita, Kansas. I'm from Northern Oklahoma. So I go to Wichita, Kansas, and you know, my drug abuse just continues to happen. I run away from my family. Figured I didn't want to do it in my backyard anymore. I go to somebody else's place, you know. And I just got myself in plenty of toxic relationships, different situations. Wound up catching another prison term. Went did 17 months. This time I at least had learned a little bit, not to knucklehead up, and realized that I fucked up. And it was like, man, I just want to keep my head down and get out this time. So I did my 17 months. still wasn't enough. You know, wound up doing 9 years, 9 calendars of my life in prison. Went in 19. It was all done when I was 29. Basically, I came out a 19-year-old. You know, I didn't grow up any in there. It got worse. So, you know, when I got adopted, I put on a mask. So I was immediately trying to be whatever they wanted to be to make them happy so that I could have a place to be with my twins. In prison, I put on a mask. You know, just trying to remain, you know, trying to survive. But definitely not where I belong. When I got out, rather than acknowledging that I had some growing up to do, I just hid behind drugs. So I didn't have to fucking admit that I was wearing a mask. Sadly, you know, that still wasn't enough. You know, I never wanted to get sober. I was full of just being, I mean, I just don't want to be in my head. I like getting high. I like drinking. So much that, you know, I got in a relationship with a girl that was alcoholic. I never really thought that I'd ever become an alcoholic, but it became a point to where I was just, you know, buying her bottles every day, and who's not going to start drinking on the bottles they hustle, you know? So, you know, when I went to jail this last time, I wound up going through some withdrawals. You know, it's kind of embarrassing, you know, but, so I wound up, we'll back up. January 22nd of this year, my twin sister passed away from liver failure during withdrawal from alcohol, and she had high doses of fentanyl in her system. And that fucking shook me up. You know, nothing else in my life has ever given me, there's been nothing I've never wanted to change for anybody. My dad even told me on the deathbed that I'm selfish. He doesn't know if it's a bad thing or what, it's just the way I am. I care about myself. Well, I'm so selfish that I didn't want to start getting right until everybody that was begging me to is gone. And the last conversation I had with my twin is how I need to quit worrying about everybody else, what everybody else thinks, leave the girl I was with, go back to treatment, and get right. That wasn't even enough, you know? And, you know, my horoscopes, really, my horoscopes and my tarot, I mean, I just really believe in all that, and especially with my spiritual awakening, I had some breathwork classes, but, you know, it said that, I feel compelled to dwell in the shadow parts of this world so that I'm somebody that knows both light and dark. My parents said when they originally went to church before we got adopted, because they wanted to receive the blessing, you know, that 3 deacons came forward the next week and said that they all had visions or dreams. I was going to be some type of minister. So that was kind of always weighed down on me, you know. And then I started thinking, I had a breathwork class probably my first week into treatment, and it was kind of ironic because everybody else in my house was gone with their therapist or a case manager. So it was just me and the facilitator. And I was, you know, basically sharing my story. He's like, I really want to try something with you, especially with your twin. He's like, I feel like you're disconnected from yourself. You know, so I went through this amazing experience where I just felt like I jumped into a different version of me. And I started thinking more positive, like different lessons and mindsets were coming to me that before I would use a situation like this to continue my drug use. But I'm like, you know, like what if I do have a mission? What if I was allowed to live the life I've lived? Because, you know, if I had somebody like me on stage, I probably would have listened when I was in high school. But what if when God was making me, he's like, all right, so let's go down this path. It's going to be rough, but he kind of protected me my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, there's always been somebody that's pulled my weight. I've never really held a job long, never really paid for anything, from my sister to being adopted. I mean, even prison, even though it wasn't the best, I mean, I've always had somebody else take care of my necessities. So what if he's like, all right, now how am I going to get him back? Because he's going to go down the road where it's going to really get him. You know, but I have to let him go down. What if he's like, all right, I got to make him have a twin? Because that loss is what it took for me. Like, and that's really shitty to say, but like, that's what it took. I have to 100% admit, if my twin wasn't gone, I didn't feel the pain that I'm feeling, and the loss, and the separation from her, I'd still be getting loaded. I'd still be out there, which is why I'm so confident in the fact that that's what it took for me. 45 days sober, and I'm so excited to freaking see what's going to happen in a year, 2 years. My life has completely changed. My mindset has changed. I have so many people just coming up telling me what inspiration I am, not to give up. And honestly, like I just really look back and like for me to be where I'm at mentally right now is a blessing. I used to wake up every day, even when I was good and I had plenty of money and had everything I needed. I used to wake up in a horrible mood, just grumpy and fights for no reason. Ever since I got clean this time, I was actually serious about it because I'm not spitting in my twin's face. And I have to give myself the opportunity to freaking see her again, to be reunited. And the last time I checked, people that live like me when I was in addiction weren't going to heaven. And I have to do everything I can so I can have that, because it really does hurt. You know, so since I've just, you know, started taking everything seriously, everything's just been getting better. I've been able to, you know, not wake up and be in an upset mood. Now I just wake up, you know. I was given a situation where I was in jail, freaking broke my hand, and now I'm the guy that gets in fights, gets his chips on his shoulder, and gets in pride, and fucking gets his ass kicked all the time. In the setting that I'm in right now, I would already have been booted out. There have been plenty of times, but I'm in a position where I had to have surgery. God even made me meek and humble enough to where I literally have to communicate, break boundaries, let people know when they're overstepping, and deal with shit. And that's a blessing, because I'll have to admit, that would have been my failure. It always has been. I'm still new in my recovery. You know, it's the best decision I've ever made. But again, I have to say it wasn't my decision. You know, I just feel like God's leading me on a really incredible path. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I feel like I'm just rambling now, but hopefully that motivates y'all. You know, because like I said, I didn't have the will or the want, never wanted to. But God knew what it was going to take. Thank you.
Safety and security that I have within myself now, which is saying a lot. I've never felt safe in my life. Is there. It's small, but it is there. And, you know, that's something I've never had before. And I truly do believe it is a result of, like, working these steps with my sponsor after the book. I really do. You know, and if you could relate to something in my story, way cool. But if you can see a solution for it for yourselves, that'd be even cooler as well. So that's all I got for you.
I'm an alcoholic addict. I got a sobriety date of 2/19/2022, 45 days sober, probably the newest one, youngest one here. So I was born to a family of drug abuse and alcohol. Me and my twin sister were put up for adoption at the age of 7 when both my parents went to prison. My dad got out of prison, overdosed on heroin, had a seizure, he was gone. My mom went back in for a second term, put us up through adoption through my tribe. Really, I was blessed into a really good Christian home. Couldn't have asked for anything better. If I wasn't at school, I was at church singing in the choir with my mom. She was a choir teacher. So my dad was a deacon. You know, my whole life I was diagnosed at 8 years old with ADHD, bipolar, depression. At that time, in this age, like 95, that's like when they were just first learning about ADHD. So they're putting all sorts of medications on us, you know. The teachers made me seem like a behavior problem. So the kids saw me as a behavior problem. So instead of me just being different, you know what I mean, I was picked on a lot. I was just a little bit more outgoing than everybody else. I was really loud. So that just kind of happened all the way through high school. I always felt really down about myself. I was never the guy to throw a touchdown pass. I was never the guy to get the cute girl. I was always the guy getting beat up at football practice. So when I was 18, I moved out of my mom's house. Came out to California because me and my buddy were going to be rock stars. I was 19 years old, hadn't even smoked